Thank you all so much for joining us. This is our last writing workshop for the MEng program, so we thank you. And just a quick reminder for anybody who has already started their application, the deadline is January 7th, and that's 8:59 p.m. California time, 11:59 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So, we welcome early submissions, but I know that folks are going to wait, until they have time, maybe after finals or during the holidays when you get some downtime. So, make sure that you submit as soon as you can, and then let the process get started and let your transcripts come in, etc. Okay, so here we are. Let me admit this person. Okay. So, this is a rundown of our agenda. We're going to talk about the value of the statements. We're going to talk about the personal history statement, some common themes in that, and then statement of purpose. Then we're going to close with some overarching points, and then we'll leave it open for Q&A. And we do have current students here, some ambassadors that can share, tips and tricks that help them. Okay, there we go. Okay. So what is the value of the personal history statement and statement of purpose? The way that I like to see it is statement of purpose, you kind of come in and this is my game plan. This is my plan of action, right? I want to create, I don't know, some bioengineering, biomedical device that's going to help, underserved communities and developing people in developing countries to, I don't know, read their sugar levels or help with diabetes medication or something like that. So that is how I see the statement of purpose. You say what you want to do, say what your plans, what your official kind of career plans are. And then your personal history statement really gives us a look into who you are as an individual and the context around those plans that you have and those goals that you've set for yourself. So, it's kind of, it contextualizes you and it kind of gives us that personal feel of, you're not just a researcher, you're not just a bioengineering student, you are a full person. And so that way we can really see kind of the work that you're doing, the work that you want to get into, and then your background, which, encompasses who you are. So personal history statement, no more than 1,000 words. So 1,000 words or less. Be clear, be concise, and be relevant. And concise doesn't just mean less words. It means you're packing a punch with those words, So it's not like don't be overly verbose, the reviewers have a lot of applications to get through. So the easier you make it and the clearer you are and the more kind of you make those connections in your essays, the easier it is for the reviewer to really kind of get through the review and make a good determination on whether you move forward. Don't assume that reviewers will make any connections for you in your statement. So if you had a bad semester or something like that, I would say address it in one of your essays, wherever makes most sense to you, probably in the statement of purpose. Or it could be personal history statements. Sometimes students are sick. They're dealing with some illnesses, or they're taking caretakers for people with illnesses, or, you have to work, or something happens. And so you really want to make sure that that you are giving the information that you want, that you convey the information that's relevant for the reviewers to make a determination. So in this section, you also want to include any relevant information like how you overcame any barriers to access higher education. Are you the first generation? I was the first person in my immediate family to go to college. And so that comes with its own barriers, right? You're kind of forging your own way without having anybody to depend on. Sure, there's other people to depend on, but you also have to seek that out. And so, again, provide any context for any gaps or inconsistency in grades or test scores. So you also might not be a good, you might know everything, but test taking may not be your forte. Or, you might have been sick on that day that you took the test. How have you overcome, how have you come to understand the barriers that other people face? So say you had, you're not first gen. You had, a easily accessible college education, but how do you see others? Even though you may have that privilege, you can use that privilege to help other folks who are not in such a great situation. Um, and then also some other themes, any academic service that you've provided uh, to advance equitable access to higher education for women, racial minorities, individuals from other groups, and or that have been historically underrepresented in higher education, right? So I think one of our biggest gaps in this country is, indigenous populations, and they are by far the most underserved and under-resourced population. So I've had students who have worked in various Native American reservations in their education, or, so you use your privilege to pay it forward. Um, any research, again, that's focused on underserved populations or related issues of inequality. It could also be, a disability thing, like privilege comes in all sorts of ways. And so maybe you're a big disability rights activist and want to create, I don't know, want to use your engineering background to make things more accessible for folks that have different abilities. And any leadership that you've experienced among such groups, allow yourself to reflect and express any key experiences that have prepared or motivated you to pursue grad school in the field of engineering. Make sure to highlight your passion, your maturity, focus, and your strong motivation. And again, 1,000 words. Make sure that the personal history statement is different than your statement of purpose. You want to make use of these. You only have 1,000 words in each of these, so make sure it fits together. It complements each other, but there's different things that you're kind of speaking to in each of the papers. And then your statement of purpose, again, 1,000 words or less. Include everything that is directly relevant to becoming a successful student at UC Berkeley Master of Engineering program. And each statement you make needs to have a purpose, right? So every kind of paragraph or anything you say should be backed up by, or should follow kind of like, I'm writing this because why? And um, how much does each sentence contribute to your candidacy for admissions to the MEng program and the area concentration to which you are applying to? So that's your thesis, right? That's kind of the thing that you're going to keep going back to. Like what what does it mean to be admitted to this program and then into this concentration? So in terms of prompt, again, we're just going to keep reminding 1,000 words or less. Your statement of purpose should describe your career goals and how this program will meet your professional aspirations. If you're entering the field, tell us about your engineering interests and the skills you wish to acquire during your program study. So what's your background, right? But then also, what do you want to learn? You're in school to add additional training to your toolkit. And so what do you want to learn? And also describe any hope or expectation you have to improving engineering in your future professional endeavors. Like I said, making things more accessible in various ways to different populations of people. And it's not just US centered, right? There's a lot of things that, like, for example, in Colombia, they had a public health a public health project where there was little trains that were little air trams that were created bring people from the hills down to the bottom of the valley to work and to get medical assistance and stuff like that. So it's kind of public health combined with engineering, really. And so in terms of analyzing the prompt, make sure you're explicit in addressing the following. So what in your background or history or training experiences, personal or professional, in academic, what in that background has led you to pursue this graduate training and or a career in engineering? What are your eventual career goals in the engineering profession? And why do you need a master's degree in engineering? Why now? You know, what's your impetus to engage in this at this moment of your life? Why are you applying to this specific degree program in your area of concentration? How will you take advantage of our one-year program and emphasis on training engineering leaders? So one thing to remember is this isn't just a technical master's program. It has a leadership component, which is just as important, and it's what sets us apart, right? You learn how to speak in public, you learn how to manage groups, you learn how to work in groups, and you really kind of are well-rounded in that way. And finally, why UC Berkeley, right? Why this campus? I can tell you I've been on campus as staff 18 years, and I was an undergrad here before, and this campus is so magical, and you can just walk around and get lost here. So, and that's just the campus, right? There's so many other things that are happening. There's a lot of resources that kind of get lost in the sauce because it's a big campus, but there's beauty in that kind of that plentiful resources that you have to kind of find. And so some overarching points, again, 1,000 words. I'm going to sound like a broken record. And it is to your advantage to keep your statement clear, concise, and again, relevant. Make sure you're getting use of those 1,000 words. Don't assume, again, that your reviewers will make any connections for you in your statement. So be very explicit, right? Like, oh, I know that my junior year fall grades were lower than the other semesters because, I was battling, I don't know, an illness that the first half of the semester, or I had to work extra shifts to take care of things or something like that. Or if that happens, then explain that. Make sure to check and revise for your formatting and spelling. And then also plan for 2 to 3 people to look over your drafts. And also make sure that however many schools you're applying to, make sure that if you mention, hey, I want to be in this program, make sure that it's the correct name. So I've read some statements where it's like, dear Princeton University or something like that. I'm like, oh, that doesn't look great. But so just try to, you probably will have a draft for whatever institution you're applying to, but just make sure that your final draft for wherever you submit has the correct institutions named. Any experiences or circumstance, and so include also any experiences or circumstances that may impact your candidacy as an applicant that not directly related to you pursuing graduate training in engineering. So anything that is outside of this is what I want to do, this is how I want to apply my knowledge and training, that should be included in your personal history statement. That's the contextual side of this equation. And the more directly related an experience is to your career goals in engineering, the more appropriate it is to put in the statement of purpose. So anything that has directly to do with like your goals should be in your SOP, in your statement of purpose. And so, I think that's it. Look at that. I got through that super quick. So I am happy to open it up for question Q&A. I'm happy to go through any other any slide in particular. And so yeah, is there any, feel free to either get yourself off mute or submit any questions to the chat, or I think there's a Q&A right here too. So yeah, anything that is maybe preventing you from submitting the application or starting the application, please feel free to ask. We're here to help. Myself, Maritzina Biha, and I have, I think, at least two of our ambassadors here. Three. I see Sanjana, Karishma, Logan, and then I also see Majido. So yeah, we have at least four students, and Ziwa. We have five of our ambassadors here. So yeah, we welcome your questions, your concerns, comments. Take it away, y'all.